What is up, people? You're going, wait a minute. We're expecting a gut reaction, but a pregame at MHH? I figure, what the heck? We should. It's the playoffs. Get some positive juju building up for this team, huh? Let's go. The Broncos are about an hour and a half away from kicking off the biggest game for this franchise in a decade. Huge, 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 huge game. I'm Chad Jensen, and I felt like this would be good to kind of help everybody get our wiggles out, so to speak, right? What's up? Nux in the house. Good to see you, pal. DBL, DB4L, Broncos for life. It's our day, baby. Let's go. I feel you. Interesting breaking news just a moment ago. Mike Kliss notes that, well, first of all, yesterday we learned the Broncos were going to elevate Elijah Moore, who they signed early in December and have not elevated once from the practice squad, and rookie seventh-round tight end Caleb Lohner. Well, we just found out moments ago, both are elevated, both are inactive. So what was that about, you figure? Sean Payton just making the Bills think a little bit? I don't know, but that's breaking news. M. Blex, what's up, brother? Chris, good to have you. Hello, my friends. Right back at you, pal. Hey, guys, haven't been able to catch a live in 3 years. Where the Sam Hill you been, bro? Good to have you. Glad you're catching us now. Derek, what's up, buddy? We got Brian on Facebook. The room's a filling up. And boy, oh boy, I want to know, how'd you guys sleep last night? Be honest. Did you sleep like a baby? Were you slightly fitful in your slumber? We got the Duchess. It's a party. We got the Duchess. We got Luke. Luke, feel free to jump on and join me if you want, bro. Just go on to StreamYard, come in the room if you want, big dog. Yeah, and yes, join the Discord, guys. The link is in the description of this video. We're going to be live chatting the game, so come join us over there once things kick. Michaela is feeling the nerves, baby. She's feeling the nerves, and I think that's normal. I honestly think that's normal. Greg, Michaela, that makes you human. And it feels slightly alien just because it's been 10 years since we've been in this position, right? I mean, this used to be a semi-regular occurrence, semi in the sense that, once a year we get to these playoff situations and you get those nerves, right? Sometimes certain regular season games might give it to you, if I'm being honest. But for the most part, you don't really get that all the marbles anxiety until you get to the playoffs, right? So how are you guys managing it? Joe says, what's up? Joe says, slept excited. I know, like a kid on Christmas night, right? Or Christmas Eve. Sue is excited for the game. Casey Nickel jumping in, bro. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being a member and a dear buddy. Says, my brother, I'm nervous, excited, and all the feelings. We need to apply pressure early, 4 sacks at least. I'm feeling like Bo is going to ball out. Listen up, guys. From your ears, or I should say, Casey, from your lips to the ears of the football gods. I'm feeling it, dude. Pressure early, no doubt about it. Josh Allen dealing with 3 injuries. How big a deal is that really? How injured is he really? Sean Payton using some gamesmanship, as we saw, by elevating 2 players that he then deactivated. Could this be some gamesmanship on the part of the Bills, kind of overemphasizing Josh Allen's injury state? Eric, if you're good, come on in, dude. I'm bringing on Eric. This is kind of an informal stream. Eric, what's going on, dog? Are you ready for this, bro? How did you sleep last night?
I didn't sleep very well, but that's kind of standard, but it was exasperated by the fact, it's the Broncos have a playoff game and just a little bit of nervousness. I mean, whenever you're playing Josh Allen and the Bills, no matter how the 2 teams look, you always got to be a little bit worried. I remember watching the Patriots Buffalo game a few weeks back where Patriots got out to that early lead and then just seeing Josh Allen put that team on his back and carry them to a victory. It's always a worry for him. But Yeah, so didn't sleep well. The nervousness got to me a little bit.
That's what he's capable of. And I think the Broncos, they don't need too many reminders of what Josh Allen can do to them. I mean, they lived through it. They lived through it last year, and they've seen it. They've been studying the tape. How injured do you think he really might be, Eric? I mean, we know he's got the 3 injuries. I think. Oh, there he is. Do you think it's legit, or do you think they're kind of making it seem worse than it is? Casey, thank you again, bro.
I think it's pretty legit. It's something that Lance brought up on the show last night. When he went back and watched it, he was able to notice that he was throwing it a little bit weird after he jammed his finger into the back of a helmet. He had some limps. He was limping throughout with the knee injury. And when I was going back and watching it after the podcast, Lance and I talked about it briefly, or before the podcast, I saw the same thing. It looked like he's pretty beat up. Now, how much rest was he able to get? That was one thing that I was touched on in an article. 6 days between games, 2 of them are traveling for the Bills. Like, not able to practice as much, not able to get as much treatment from the medical team. I think he's pretty beat up. I think we'll see him tough it out. But with how physical this Broncos defense is, he's at risk of aggravating those injuries and making them even worse than they are.
David, thank you for jumping in with a super. Dear member, thank you, buddy. Saying, why did they bring in the ex-Lions OC? Well, he's a Sean Payton guy. Let's not forget John Morton. Yeah, he's a disgraced, failed, and 1 year fired offensive coordinator of the Lions, but he spent the preceding 2 years as the Broncos pass game coordinator, and the Broncos brought him in. He's been spotted at practice all week, and then today we got confirmation from Adam Schefter that he's been hired as a postseason offensive consultant. So John Morton's back in the building. I've got an article up at milehighhuddle.com, Broncos on SI, if you want to go give that a read for some additional background, brother. Duchess, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. We love you so much. I mean, you're feeling the nerves. I think we're all feeling the nerves if we're being brutally honest. Now, the nerves doesn't mean you're scared. It can mean you're scared, but for me, I'll speak for myself. The nerves I've been feeling are more kind of excitement nerves, like, how's it going to play out? I can't wait to see that kind of thing. Not, oh my gosh, are we going to lose? Now, everyone's different. She says, let's pray for a Bronco win. Amen to that, sister. She says, comes down to the running game on offense and containment on defense. I don't foresee a lot of blitzing in this one. Yeah. What do you think, Eric, on the blitz? First of all, Vance Joseph, that's one of his calling cards, as we know, and the simulated blitzes and all that stuff. But you got to really walk the razor's edge with that against a quarterback of Josh Allen's experience and ability. What do you expect to see on that front?
I don't think we'll see a whole lot of blitzing. I think we'll see it used in a timely manner. I think it's going to be, the pass rush is going to be more so keeping Allen in the pocket, forcing him to be that pocket quarterback. And so a little bit more containment on it. But, I would still expect to see Jaquan McMillan, come on a slot blitz, Talanoa Hufanga coming on a safety blitz. Still expect to see a lot of the double A gap mug looks that the linebackers do, and probably see some Pirate and Texas stunts off of that. Just wouldn't see it. I don't think we're going to see it at a high rate. Denver kind of, even towards the end of the season, Denver kind of cut down on the blitzing a little bit. And it's part of the reason why the pass rush numbers have kind of dropped a little bit, but I don't expect to see it just because of the quality and caliber of quarterback Josh Allen is. Trying to keep him in the pocket, playing contain, not letting him use his legs. Chad, you're muted, by the way.
Oh, you got it. I'm sorry, dude. You should tell me that earlier. My fault, though. My fault. Guys, I'm so sorry for that. I'm juggling a couple things here. My bad. I was just saying, look, run game, Eric, so important this time around, dude. Like RJ Harvey, Jalil McLaughlin, you're going against the 28 ranked Bills rushing defense. It's super important. And what I was actually going on about there is that we, MHH, we just crossed 38,000 subscribers on YouTube. Stoked. If you watch all the time or you're watching now and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 40K. Smash it. You know where to what to do and where to go. But Michaela, we're right there with you. Let's pray, my friend, for the Broncos to figure this out. It feels different to me this year. I don't know. And it's not just the fact, Eric, that they're the 1 seed. It's not just, the fact that they're at home. It's just the kind of energy and vibe of the team. Last year, let's be honest, I think everybody kind of took on the emotional complexion of the Broncos in the playoffs, which was we already achieved it. We got there. We're just happy to be there, so to speak. Like, okay, we got this 8-year playoff drought monkey off our back, and the team acted accordingly. I mean, they burned hot quickly. You had the touchdown on the opening drive, and then it was all downhill from there for the most part. I mean, the worst of it started in the second half. But my point here is this time's different, Eric. They set out to, first of all, in the offseason, a lot of the moves they made were directly informed by the beating they took at the hands of the Bills, Hufanga, Greenlaw specifically. And they set out this year with a second-year quarterback, not a rookie quarterback, legitimately setting their sights on the AFC West crown. They got it done. They won it for the first time since 2015. And it just so happened that, Eric, by virtue of winning 14 games, which is tied for the most in a season, franchise history, they end up qualifying for the 1 seed. The way all these games shook out this year, I think it prepares them for this game. All the 1-score close calls, finding a way, will to win, clutch gene. How do you comport yourself? How do you behave? How do you perform? How do you execute when the chips are down? So by the time you get to a high-stakes, elevated intensity game like this, Eric, I think the Broncos now, this Broncos team, way better prepared. And I think that's why, to me, it feels different.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of why it feels different for me as well. I mean, and I gotta say with Tano Hufanga, it was 100% that Bills game. It left a sour taste in everyone in Broncos in the organization's mouths, and they went after him because of what he can do for against a team like the Bills with his ability to just be such a smart football player and making the reads that he does to blow up running plays, which was an issue last year. I mean, the Broncos were a little weak around the edges. PJ Locke and Brandon Jones, they weren't great in that Bills game. The linebacker play wasn't great on those edges, and neither were Bonitto or Cooper. And Hufanga helps bring that presence. And I loved his mindset too earlier in the week when he was asked about it. He wanted the Bills because even though he wasn't with the Broncos, he felt that the sourness from everybody else with the team. But that's part of the reason why I feel better. And then the experience as well. Last year, I know a lot of Broncos fans were wanting that win, but I don't think a lot of us really felt that they could win that game. It was a very much a David versus Goliath type game. And Denver had such a young, inexperienced team, and now they have experience. They have that playoff experience, at least in one game, where they went on the road. They got to feel that atmosphere, feel the pressure, and they're accustomed to it now. Even though it's one game, it's still enough to acclimate to it. So I think that is another way of it, and just another year of Bo Nix with the growth that he's shown, especially since the mini bye week this year, and the way the offense has kind of found their rhythm, so to speak. Granted, it hasn't been all pretty, but the grinded out style fits with them, and I would expect them to stick to that. The running game is very important in this one, and then look to capitalize with explosive plays later on.
Well said. Good to see the old man saying, "Go Broncos, kick some arse." Amen to that, Pop. Amen to that. We got a dear member and a Mount Rushmore member of this community saying, "What's up, everyone? Brad Murdoch. Definitely nervous, but I have a good feeling about this game. Glad to hear it, big dog." Jamal Killings, the coolest name in the MHH community, saying it's playoff Saturday, Broncos country. That it is. It feels good, baby. Yeah, Paul, Bo Nix, he doesn't need a cape. Word. I feel you. Good to see Keith, also a dear member. I want to grab this. I'm from Glenn, who's been just this man and his boy Jackson. They live in Melbourne, Australia, so they're in the future. In fact, I don't even know what time the game's kicking for you. What is it going to be, like 3 a.m. or something ridiculous? But this guy is geeked up, man. He's been tagging us on X. He's tagging us on Instagram. Like, here he is in the chat. Glenn Ashley. is ready to throw down. And he's saying, no sleep for me at 7 a.m. Okay, 7 a.m. here in Melbourne. No nerves for me. I live for this. Been involved in too many big games of AFL as a player to get nervous. Here comes the pain for the Bills. I'm ready for us to beat the brakes off Allen. Fundamentals will win this one. Sacks, tackles, take care of and catching the football. Hashtag state of being. Hashtag 3 more wins. You personify the state of being, big dog. And yeah, let's stick to the fundamentals. And it's weird, really weird, Eric, because on one hand, the Broncos absolutely have to come out today and have more intensity than the Bills and be more physical than the Bills. But at the same time, what you don't want to see is them being so amped and so the nerves that they're tight. You want them to be loose. You don't want them to be sloppy, right? So like the fine line that separates everything. It's a razor's edge, and it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of energy they do have, because you could see last year they were really tight when they got to the playoffs. They were really kind of uptight is a better way of putting it. And that led quickly to pressing. You saw guys just not really executing because, it's kind of like when you're stressed out. Think about it. When you're the most stressed out in your life, doesn't matter what the reason might be, it's a little bit harder to think clear, right? It's a little bit harder to just act. And that's no different for professional players, big games like this, Eric. So I hope they can figure out how to walk that razor's edge, which is obviously a lot easier said than done when you're trying to roll out 46 guys on a roster game day.
Yeah, and fundamentals, it's really key in this one, as Glenn said, and it's something that the Browns know. So this last Monday, their padded practice that they had was, from what I understand, their longest practice that they've had all season, and it was focused on the fundamentals, primarily tackling, which is so big in this one. If you guys have tuned into Broncos for Breakfast or even Dove Valley Deep Divers last night, you'd have heard this already. But the Bills are a tough team to tackle. You have James Cook, who is sixth most of all running backs in broken tackles and third most missed tackles forced. You have Josh Allen, who leads the NFL in both missed tackles and broken tackles by any non-running back. And then you have Khalil Shakur, who is third in most missed tackles forced. They are a tough team to tackle, and especially Josh Allen, with how big and physical he is. He can be really difficult to sack, which Bonitto has had some issues. He's gotten a lot of those hits on the quarterback, but has struggled to bring him down. So the fundamentals of wrapping up, driving through was a big focus for them on the defensive side of the ball.
Good.
It's definitely a must for them. But as you said, they can't be too tight and too worried about it to where it's almost you're so focused on it that you make mistakes with it. And they cannot be that. Hopefully that they don't show up and they're too stressed out about it. Fundamentals are going to be critical in this one on both sides of the ball. The blocking fundamentals on the offense as well, from what I understand, has been a big focus for the offensive side of it, which is critical, especially from the tight ends. So hopefully it translates into this game today, because if they play with clean fundamentals, I feel really good about this game.
Hey, Mr. Producer, come join us if you want. Kind of an impromptu stream. Come join us. Come join us, brother. But let me grab this from Phoenix. There we go. So this is interesting. He says, Eric, a dear member, Phoenix Fire, I say we blitz the run on the way to the QB. We give up so many yards and easy passes underneath when we run zone. I hate it. Take our chances, get him to the ground fast. And then he finishes by saying, we have the corners to lock them down. The more time Allen is standing, the more chance he does something crazy. Even mediocre receivers can get open with time, especially in zone. So, you've seen, Eric, teams have some success run blitzing against the Bills. Do you expect to see some of that? And hey, it might be you call the run blitz second down, but they're calling play action. You get to the quarterback type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see some run blitzes for it against this. Obviously, try to sell out to stop the run, especially with how banged up they are at wide receiver. They only have 5 guys healthy, and that's because one of them just came off of injured reserve, and the other one is being called up off the practice squad. And so you got to figure something out. Sell out to stop the run. In obvious passing downs, I wouldn't blitz very often. So looking at it, only one team beat the Bills this year while blitzing more than 21% of the time, and that was the Atlanta Falcons, who blitzed them 50% of the time. The other games, it was all 20.9 from the Philadelphia Eagles is the next highest percentage that won. And so I want the Broncos to kind of be in that range against the pass, but definitely would, at least early on, sell out to stop the run, try to force some changes from this Bills offense, try to force them to stay in heavier packages as well. Denver's one of the best run defenses when it comes to defending the run against bigger packages, or again, anything that's 2 or less receivers is what I'm considering a bigger package. And the Bills, that's something that they like to do. They love to run out of bigger packages. They're 3 tight end sets, and that's like, I think it's like almost 40% of the runs come out of those 3 tight end sets. So hopefully Denver can force them to stay in that personnel grouping and capitalize off of it, and then try to force them later in the second half to get out of that. And Denver can, then maybe amp up the blitzing a little bit more in the passing game as the Bills are trying to look for those big, more explosive plays.
Hey, just curious, guys, was Eric frozen? Well, I could hear everything you just said, Eric, but then you were like frozen. So I'm wondering if that was frozen for you guys too, or if that was maybe on my end, I had too many windows open or something.
No, my webcam just freezes up every now and then, especially when
Okay.
it's so cold here in my office.
Okay. Anyway, what I was going to say, guys, real quick. So officially, Ed Oliver, he's active, he's playing. So is Curtis Samuel. So with the Bills losing 2 receivers to injured reserve on this short week turnaround for them, they are getting Curtis Samuel back and Ed Oliver. Eric, break down, and then we'll grab Keith, we'll grab Proud Zenial, my brother Ian. Break down how you see Ed Oliver impacting the Bills' rushing defense specifically.
I don't think it's a major impact. Ed Oliver isn't that great of a run defender. He can pretty consistently be wiped out with single blocking. He's not one of those guys that demands double teams. Part of that's his size. I worry about the impact that he's going to have in the passing game. I also wonder how much he's going to play, because he's been out since like October, like early October, I think is what it was. So what shape is he going to be in? I mean, you can get into decent shape when, working out on the sidelines and rehabbing, but that's not game shape. And especially when you're going to altitude for somebody like Ed Oliver, who's may not be accustomed to it. So I really question how much he's going to play coming off injured reserve, but I'm not so worried about his impact on the running game. But the passing game is a little bit worrisome. Wouldn't be surprised if he's used basically as kind of a designated pass rusher.
So 2 full months he's been out. Call it 2 months and a quarter. So he was placed on IR with a torn bicep October 28th, and here he comes back. So it'll be interesting to see how it impacts things. And just like Eric, the Broncos did with Ben Powers when they brought him back from IR, also a bicep, right? Yep. They worked him back in. He split snaps with Palczewski. However, the Broncos were in a position where they could afford to kind of work him back in. The Bills are in a do or die, just like the Broncos, but in their case, it's like if the Broncos were getting Ben Powers back, and today was the first day that he could come back or whatever, is he still going split duty, or do you think he's playing? We shall see, but I think you're right. I think we'll see maybe not a full dose of Ed Oliver. Ian, still one of my favorite YouTube profile picks when we got to meet up in Phoenix, dude. Love it. Good to see you, pal. Thank you for being a member for 5 months strong, brother. And he says, game day, time to make history. Hashtag state of being MHH for life. Yes, brother, that it is. We also have Keith, a dear member, saying, I'm pumped. We're about to put BTA. I don't have Zach here. He's a great syntax interpreter. He's my C3.
Belt to butt.
Huh?
Belt to butt.
Okay, yeah. There we go. Thank you. Broncos country. You guys should see me trying to decipher my teenager's text, when I'm trying to bust them in a lie or something. Broncos country. Let's go. Right there with you, big dog. It's exciting. The day has come. Brandon Jones, Mark, for what it's worth, Sean Payton said, and he is a gamesman, so you got to keep that in mind, but he doesn't really have a reason to lie about this. When he was asked earlier this week if Brandon Jones could come back at some point if the Broncos stay alive long enough, he said, I don't think so. So he's probably done for the C's. FYI on that. Tsunami of Love jumping in. Good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. It's game day, guys. It's a pre-game MHH stream. We do not do this often. I think this is the first one of the year, but we're doing it because we cannot contain our excitement, and we want to create as much good juju for the Broncos as possible. Tsunami says, I'm nervous AF. Let's do this. Go Broncos. Love MHH. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, big dog. Appreciate you. And that's part of what we're doing here, helping you get the wiggles out, my brother. Boot, thank you, Scott and Eric, on the translation. This is cool, dude. Gabe showing some vintage IQ here. He's got his Dennis Smith throwback jersey on today. Love that, dude. 49. Let's go. Glenn Ashley says, let's get as many people on the Discord as possible during the game, fam. Yeah, the link's in the description. Come join us over there, guys. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. I guess if you're not already a Discord user, the biggest pain in the butt is that you got to create an account or whatever, but that's easy. And then you're in the fold and you're participating and keeping the conversation going after these games, or after these streams, I should say. So come join us over there. Yeah, the butterflies are kind of setting in. Phoenix says VJ's going to have to be in his bag and know when to call what. Balances the theme of today. That was, of course, one of the things, Wade Phillips, that separated him as a defensive coordinator, in my opinion, is he might not have, to quote him, he was a lousy head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, one of the reasons he was one of the best ever is because of his gut feel in games to call the right play in the right situation. But I echo here, Proud Zenio, real quick, guys. Drop right now what jerseys you're wearing today. Drop them in the chat. We're seeing some already from folks responded to him. Demarius Thomas Super Bowl jersey from Adam Johnson. Sue's wearing her Bonitto jersey today. I love it. What do we got up here? Ryan says he's got his blue Bo Nix jersey. Awesome. Dennis Smith, 94 Elway from Keith. That's rad, dude. That's pre Bronco logo jersey changeover. So that's the old orange, vintage D, the 77 throwback, as they call it today. Yeah, the Discord's going to be rocking, guys. Come join us over there. Ryan says Sean Payton, Eric, needs to call his best game. Get those datgum calls in quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key thing for this. And it's funny, I was just watching a video of Drew Brees and Chase Daniel talk about his play calls, and they're reciting some of them, and I can see why it takes a while. It took Drew Brees about 5 seconds just to relay the call clearly enough where, if you're in a huddle situation, everybody can get it and hear it and know what they're supposed to do. Every single detail is there in the play call. And it's down to like every minute detail. It is extraordinary in a way of how much detail goes into his play calls, but it's definitely it can take some time, especially when you do what a lot of what Sean Payton does is you give that main play call, then you give the kill play call right after that. And there you go. You're looking at about 10 seconds to relay that cleanly and clearly. So in a huddle, so everybody can get it. So he's definitely got to get in there, be a little bit quicker with that on his end. So Bo Nix can be a little bit quicker and get to the line and start looking and trying to make those adjustments and have time to do so.
Well said, bro. And it is crazy, these play calls, dude. I mean, you got to have a big brain to handle some of this stuff, which was part of what impressed Sean Payton and the Broncos when they were working out Bo Nix and they dropped all that information on him of an evening and expected to have him, or wanting to see how he would, how much he would absorb and be able to regurgitate and spit out the next morning at whatever 8, 9 a.m. their meeting was. And suffice it to say, he passed the test with flying colors. Oh, Jackson's got the Bo Nix salute to service. Awesome, dude. Paul's rocking his 47 as John Lynch. Sherry's got the orange Bo Nix that she bought 3 days before Nix was announced as the starting quarterback last year. That's cool. Definitely remember the Three Amigos, my dog, Rubicon. I mean, I was a kid of the 80s, so I had the poster on my wall, my dog. That's no lie. Rents, I got the Mike Anderson jersey on today because we need heart. Yeah, we do. And thank you, Rents, for being a member, big dog. Yeah. What did he say? Yes, indeed. Okay, here we go. Ryan Carter says, I have Super Bowl 32 Elway and a Davis jersey. The Davis jersey signed in person for me. I don't usually wear them because I got some food on them, and if I got some food on them, I'd have a heart attack. Yeah, protect those, big dog. Most def. On Facebook, Travis says, I'm old school fan from 83, never wavered. This is the year the next generation takes over. Amen, brother. Let's go. So if you're just joining us, guys, kind of interesting news. Yesterday, the Broncos announced that they were elevating from the practice squad. You can do 2 players per week. They were elevating Elijah Moore, the wide receiver that they signed in early December, the former Bills guy, right, who spent most of the season with the Bills, and rookie tight end Caleb Lohner, neither of whom had been elevated this season. And then we find out just before this stream went live, we find out that both are inactive. So what do you make of that, Eric? Just Sean Payton trying to kind of get in the head of Buffalo a little bit, even to force him to spend any of their time talking, meeting, game planning around it. Even if it's a 15-minute meeting, it was 15 minutes wasted on nothing.
I think it was a little bit of that, just playing some mind games with them of that last minute. Okay, we have a guy. They might have a guy who knows what we're doing. Even took some shots at them, made a comment about how they don't even throw to wide receivers anyways. So I think it was a little bit of mind games, but when they were announced as the call-ups, I looked at it. I didn't think either one was going to be active going into this one. So all season long, Denver's only had 3 tight ends active and 5 wide receivers. So who are you making inactive for one of those guys? I just didn't see it. So definitely, some gamesmanship with it, and rewarding them with a nicer paycheck, so they get a little bit of a more pay with the call up for it.
That's
So
true. That's
good on
true.
them for that. And we've seen Sean Payton before. He's rewarded players in every single year with those practice squad call ups. To help them get a bigger paycheck. He did it with DiNucci that first year. He did it with Zach Wilson, or no, not Zach Wilson. Gargiulo. He did it with the last year as well towards the end of the season.
Right.
So he likes to reward the players that stick around and stay loyal to Denver. And with those increased paychecks, we're getting that practice squad call up.
Travis Lewis, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you on Facebook. He says, how goes it, Broncos country? Let's F and go. Beat the Bills. Broncos for life. Noah Moctezuma? Dude, that's a cool name. If you know your history, that's a really cool name. Can we get some better play calling today? Yeah, as we were talking a little bit about this earlier, guys, I mean, yeah, you got to have some explosives. You got to see there are going to be times in this game where the Broncos are going to take their shots. And when they do, Bo Nix and the guys, they got to be money. They got to block it up, and Bo Nix has to deliver that ball. But part of what you saw against the Chiefs, part of what you saw against the Chargers to end the season wasn't just Sean Payton trying to kind of shorten the game, grind it out so they get to the playoff, get the 2 wins, and then grind it out, get to the playoffs. That's a big, not a big shift. That's a shift to what they're trying to do against higher quality opponents like the Bills. They want to stay on the field more. They want these 8-minute drives. They want these 11, 12, 13 play drives. The big difference, though, is unlike especially the Chiefs and Chargers game, those drives there got to end in tutties. Too many of them. I mean, Broncos were top 10 red zone efficiency offense for most of the season. Those last 3 games against Jacksonville, Kansas City, and the Chargers is where you saw their efficiency plummet. And I guess I've got it open. I can look at it right now just to remind myself. But red zone efficiency, they ended up finishing in the regular season 13th. And so, hey, if you can keep Josh Allen on the sideline, big, long, extended drives, as long as you're getting touchdowns at the end of them, that is a model for success. And it's one of the ways you can neutralize and beat Allen and the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those long sustained drives. I know it's not necessarily, the flashy because it's not the big filled with big explosive plays. But when you face a quarterback of the caliber of Josh Allen, keeping him on the sideline as long as possible, that's great. But it doesn't do a whole lot of good if you don't end in the end zone. That's something that I've been absolutely harping on over the last few weeks of the regular season about Denver's efficiency in the red zone having to improve. Earlier in the season, when the offense was sputtering between the 20s, when they got into the end zone, it was almost constant that they were going to end in the end zone. And part of that is because of the Sean Payton play calling. I don't think it changed in the red zone. I think execution became a bigger issue in that aspect of it. But he's got to get that figured out. The play calling between the 20s is there's just a lot going on it. We need more. We need to end in the end zone. You need 7, especially to win playoff football. You got to score those touchdowns. And this is a game where he really needs to lean into the run game. He made a comment about run the ball on his sheet like he did in the Chargers game last year, where he only ran the ball 8 times when the Broncos had a lead, or in the first half or the first 2 drives of the second half, ran the ball 8 times. It's not good enough, again, especially against his Bills defense. There's a whole lot that I can get into about why it's super important with this one and how it can impact the passing game with what the Bills do defensively. But Sean Payton against Sean McDermott is going to be a very interesting matchup. It is definitely a chess game between the two. Both of them are very bright when it comes to their sides of the ball, but we cannot have Sean Payton having a down day like we've had some multiple times this season.
You also wonder about the pressure that a guy like Sean McDermott might be feeling, because there's a lot of rumors that if he does not go the distance, or at least get the Bills to the Super Bowl this year, that he could be done. And if you think about it from the Bills' perspective, ownership there and the front office, you don't want to squander, if you're the Bills, Josh Allen's prime, and he's still in his prime. And so I wonder how much that affects McDermott. He's enough of a pro, though, that I'm sure he'll be fine. But that is a storyline to watch. And yes, Travis, get them touchdowns. And Blex saying Pat Bryant and Lil Jordan Humphrey will be busy boys in the run game. They really, hopefully, that's the way it shakes out. That's what we're saying. We want to see it. And yeah, I mean, Bo Nix has the opportunity today to become just the second drafted Bronco quarterback ever to win a playoff game. And not only that, guys, but if Bo Nix wins, he becomes just the 22nd quarterback in NFL history to lead a team to the conference championship game within his first 2 seasons. So that's on the table as well, which would be a really cool little side, milestone as a byproduct of the team getting the dub and moving to what? The AFC Championship game. I mean, you can almost taste it. You can feel it, right? Boss Man Jay in the house. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Thank you for the very generous top rope super chat, my dog. It's been fun chatting with you. He's an email guy, which I'm cool with. I like to chat, so appreciate that. And our best to your wife and the little boss man Jay. We all know the name. If you guys were on the Thursday night MHH podcast, they're planning to name their coming daughter that's going to be born, I can't remember, February or sometime early 2026. They're going to name her Denver. How rad is that? Jay says, good game day, gentlemen. Woke up at 6 this morning, ready to go. Woke up quick at about 6. Yes. Don't know if it's nerves or excitement, but definitely hyped up. Broncos, go Broncos. Oh, and I'm wearing old school orange Quinn Miners. Dude, that's rad. Repping the O-line. The O-line, Eric, they get short shrift in the fan jersey purchasing game, so to speak. So good for you, Jay, and that shows your appreciation and football IQ for a legend like Quinn Miners, who's now a back-to-back first-team All-Pro and finally got his first Pro Bowl this year, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great. He had a little bit of a rough start to the season, and I find it so weird that when he talked about how he's been dealing with this illness all season, most of the season, that it kind of started happening against the Eagles, and that's right when his play started to pick back up, and that he started to show this excellent player that he can be after a rough first 4 weeks of the season. So that just is a testament to him and what he's been playing through. Such a fun player to watch, such a mauler in the run game. Still has some hiccups in the passing game, but nowhere near as constant. And really got to give credit to Zach Strief for the coaching job that he's done, not with just Quinn Miners, but some of the other guys on the offensive line like Luke Wattenberg. And, Zach Strief is a part of the reason why some of these guys got paid what they got paid.
Yeah.
And so credit to him, but Quinn Miners, so fun to watch. One of my favorites. I got to get around to getting a jersey of his. Love trench play, focus of mine. Super excited and super glad that he worked out. And also, side fact, Luke Poglaze actually knows his college coach. And cool. I got a chance to meet him when I went down to Colorado for Luke's wedding and absolutely raved about Quinn Miners as a person.
That's cool. Yeah, OGs will remember that Luke Poglaze, who's now been a longtime coach, he was an OG founding member of the Mile High Huddle staff back in 2014. And then the very first iteration of the Huddle Up podcast, which became this podcast, the MHH podcast, was Zach, was Luke and I. Now, that was back in 2016 and 17, I want to say, is when Luke and I were doing Huddle Up Pod. Now, it was before we were doing them as live streams. They were just, we would get together a couple times a week, upload to Apple and all that stuff. But then it was he got busy with stuff, and it was Will Keys and myself on the Huddle Up podcast for about, I don't know, year and a half, maybe another two, about a year. Then Zach Kelberman and the rest is history. So Luke is an OG. He goes way back. We all love Luke, and Eric and Luke are especially close. But Jay, thank you, big dog. Doug Raquel on Facebook, go Broncos. Thanks for your work. Guess what? I met Leonard Russell, who was a running back for the Broncos in 96, also played for the Patriots. Dude, how cool is that? Good for you, big dog. That's really, really cool. Thank you for checking in, Doug. Yep, that's true. Miners rocking the Mecklenburg 77. I mean, that's what I think of when I see 77 in orange. I think Mech, because I grew up in the 80s watching Broncos football, but he's putting his own shine to the number. That's for Dak, I'm sure. And Black says, speaking of college coaches, Greg Dulcich's college coach had his kid on the flag football team I coached. Dude, how rad is that? That's really cool, dude. It's always a small world, right? Glenn Ashley, 2016 days, Chad. Yeah. That was, holy crap, dude. It just hit me. That was 10 years ago, dude. What? Man, time sucks, bro. Travis, wish I could be at this game. My spinal cord work injury still has me sidelined. Hashtag someday. Sorry to hear that, bro. I'm sure you will get back to where you want to be and be able to go to these games and stuff. So, man, sorry to hear that, big dog. Keith, a dear member. So if Nix takes down Superman, do we call him Thanos? Well, you're talking to a nerd over here about like comics and stuff. You just crossed streams that you're not supposed to, Keith. I mean, Superman, his nemesis were, the likes of Lex Luthor and who's the big baddie in DC, Eric? The Darkseid. Whereas Thanos, of course, is Marvel and all that. Do I care? No. But I'm speaking up for Eric, who I know that's dang important to, bro. Just kidding. I'm just busting you. We get what you're trying to say. Collect the stones one team at a time. I love that, dude. That's radical. All right, guys, where are we at? We're at 42 minutes. It's officially 1:45 Mountain Time. So we're 45 minutes away from kickoff, you guys. OMG. The other piece of news, if you're just joining us, we learned today Ed Oliver and Curtis Samuel have officially been activated off injured reserve for the Bills. They are active. They are playing today. Eric, we've talked already about Ed Oliver and how you feel like he's more of a threat as an interior pass rusher than he is, say, upgrading the run game. What about Curtis Samuel, and especially as a receiver, especially knowing the hits the Bills have taken in the last week at that position and the struggles really they've had? I mean, you've got the reigning MVP as your quarterback. Their leading receiver was in the 700 yardage area.
Yeah, I mean, he can be an explosive guy. He had some, if I remember correctly, he had some explosives in that game, playoff game last year. He's a guy that I think is going to see the field a lot simply out of necessity because of how beat up they are. The fact they entered this week with only 3 healthy wide receivers, and again had to activate him for a 4th, practice squad call up for the 3rd, and one of them is Keon Coleman, who they don't like seeing the field. He had fewer snaps against the Jaguars than Tyrell Shavers, who just went on injured reserve, played against the Jaguars with his torn ACL. So Curtis Samuel, he's one that you definitely got to watch out for. You cannot lose him because if you lose him in coverage, and Denver's had some communication busts over the last few weeks, he can make you pay for it. He can be a tough guy to tackle as well. So he can be a little bit of a threat. I wonder what kind of conditioning he's going to be in because it's been about 2 months, I think, since he's played because it was a November injury, I think mid-November. So I question that, but he's not a guy that you can take lightly in the passing game. And even though he's not a great run blocker, he likes to throw it out there and mix it up a little bit as a blocker and give it his all. So that's a somewhat of a boost to their run game as well. But he's definitely one to keep an eye out for.
So good memory on you there, Eric. Curtis Samuel last season in the wild card was targeted 3 times, caught up all 3 for 68 yards with a long of 55 and a touchdown. Also, for what it's worth, Shakir, who's their leading receiver this year, in that wild card game, caught all 6 of his targets for 61 yards. And then it was all about the tight end show, Kincaid and Knox. And so, Eric, I've seen a lot of people say, on X. I've seen it in the streams. I've seen people talking about this with how beaten up the Bills receiving core is. And yeah, you're getting Samuel back, and that's definitely better than what they were up against. But that if you take out, if the Broncos can just shut down Knox and shut down Kincaid in the passing game, that's like 3/4 of the battle relative to the passing game. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the focus needs to be Knox and Kincaid in the passing game. In probably by in doing so is putting a lot of your attention of your safeties on them as well as the linebackers. And then you have McMillan and Jade Barron, who, they can help in there. Depending on, I mean, McMillan could be a guy that they look at putting on Khalil Shakur and kind of shadowing him. They match up pretty well, or Curtis Samuel, and then using Riley Moss to help with the tight ends, or even Patrick Surtain. So they definitely have options available to him to help shut down the tight ends. And it's part of the reason why I was talking about earlier. I don't expect to see the Bills outside of a lot of, 2 or 3 tight end sets, because Jackson Haas is also a good tight end for them, the rookie. So definitely need to focus on those two and not let them take over the game. And the Broncos, towards the end of the season, they started to show some cracks with covering tight ends, especially when Brandon Jones got hurt and is out, because they were using Brandon Jones a lot to help cover for the inabilities of the tight end or the linebackers in covering tight ends. And so we'll see how well PJ Locke can step up doing that, because he's had some issues, even going back to last year with helping cover up the linebackers with tight ends. He had a lot of issues, especially in that playoff game.
No doubt. No doubt. Michaela Israel, give our best to the little man Coop. She says, yay, I'm so glad you guys are live right now. Woohoo. Yeah, dear member and an OG superstar. Great to see you, Michaela. Shannon Mills is also in the house talking about Mount Rushmore superstars and members. Shannon, great to have you. Here is an interesting question, Eric, from our buddy Glenn in Australia. Who are your 3 key players for us on offense and defense today? And let's do this. You take defense, I'll take offense. And I'll say on offense, key players, obviously Bo Nix. Bo Nix needs to give his week 11 through 15 version of himself in this game. Like, you need to see peak Bo Nix, continue protecting that ball, continue being a real tough sack, and just be on point, man. Don't be afraid to push it when the opportunity arises. Just do your thing. Use your legs. Be Bo Nix. Lead the guys. I'd also say Cortland Sutton, step on up. Now, this is a different question than who are your X factors. These aren't the X factors. X factor means slightly out of left field, slightly under the radar. These are the key players you got to have showing up today. I'm saying Bo Nix on offense. I'm saying Cortland Sutton. And guys, as much as we've been saying we want to see more Jaleel McLaughlin, maybe we will. But if the best predictor of the future is the past, then Sean Payton's still going to be riding with RJ Harvey, which makes him key player number 3 for me on offense. There you have it. Eric, what do you got, bud?
I mean, Talanoa Hufanga. I mean, they brought him in with this type of game in mind, with what he can do against the run. He's definitely got to step up a little bit, and I mean, just play his butt off. Play probably what needs to be one of the better games of his career, if not the best game of his career. Nik Bonitto. I mean, with going against Dion Dawkins, that is a tough matchup for him. Even though Dawkins in the passing game hasn't been as great. He's one of the best run blocking left tackles in the NFL. Need him to step up. Very opportunistic run defender, more so than a good run defender. So we got to see what he can do. It's going to help him with having Hufanga behind him to help cover that, and Dre Greenlaw as well. And then the other one is Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan Cooper's discipline over the last few weeks, ever since the mini bye week, has been absolutely terrible, both as a run defender and a pass rusher, more so as a pass rusher, though. Lacks lane discipline, just showing off, and then going against Spencer Brown, another tough matchup. Those 2 tackles for the Bills are probably one of the best duos in the NFL, if not the best. Yeah. So Cooper's got to really step up, because he's going to be a integral part of keeping Josh Allen from being able to utilize his legs, extending plays, and helping shut down, James Cook out of the backfield, who ran all over the Broncos defense last year.
Yeah, I'd like to see Zach Allen have a monster game as well, Jay, for what it's worth. Like, it's time, not to say that he hasn't been doing Yalman's work. He's an all-pro. He's a Pro Bowler for a reason. Another guy got his first Pro Bowl this year. How about that? Zach Allen, props to him. But yeah, I think Zach Allen's going to be properly motivated. Again, man, Sean Payton tried to play it down for the most part at the podium this week, the revenge angle and how much that Bills wildcard loss has been living in their heads rent-free, so to speak. But how could it not? These guys are insanely prideful competitors. You have to be to operate at this level of competition. You know, man, they are so not only motivated and amped up to exact some revenge, but I think they've learned the lessons that game taught them. I mean, you learn more from falling down than you do succeeding, right? Like that's something the Broncos, you can expect them to retain and take in so long as they have the right leadership. And I believe Sean Payton is that leader. The reason I think you saw them playing it down this week is because, at the risk of saying anything relative to revenge, he saw it with Jacksonville. He actually was trying to compliment Jacksonville, and then a comment about small market ends up turning into like locker room fodder, bulletin board material. So his message to the team, I'm sure, if we were a fly on the wall in the Monday, I guess it would be Friday meeting, Monday meeting, all that was, hey guys, let's publicly really try not to get baited into the revenge game angle. They don't want to give the Bills any additional motivational kind of bulletin board stuff. But guys, my point on this, yeah, they're jacked up about what happened to them from this team last year. So the guys up front, you got to own the point of attack. Quinn Miners, Garrett Bowles, Alex Forsyth, let's go. Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers, defense, Zach Allen, the boys. David Youngkin jumping in on Super Chat again. A dear member saying, will it be a disappointment season with a loss having the 1 seed? Well, yeah, absolutely, bro. I mean, it's still going to, it would still go down in history, but we don't even want to think that way right now, David. We don't want to think that way. We're creating and putting the positive vibes into the air for this team. That they've accomplished a lot. And as Patrick Surtain, Eric said at the podium this week, we didn't do all this work to just, this is it, and then go home. Like, we sacrificed to put ourselves in this position so that we can capitalize on it and take advantage of it and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose this one, it will be a disappointment. Obviously, you go 14-3, losing home field advantage, number 1 seed, and then you lose your first game. But it's one of those games where they can still walk out with their head held high. I mean, the fact that they still got to 14-3, won all those close games, got all this experience. A lot of players having probably some of the best years of their career, including some veterans. So it's a lot that they can still hang on to and carry over into next season. Similar to last year, even though they got blown out 31-7 in that playoff game last year, the fact that they ended the playoff drought, got back there, got that experience, wasn't a game where they needed to walk out with their heads down. Unlike, the Jaguars, who should definitely have their heads hanging low for that one. But yeah, so it'll be a disappointment. I don't think that it would be, constitute a failure for the season, but it's a disappointment. How can it not be? I mean, you get the number 1 seed and you lose your first game. Like that would be a disappointment.
But it ain't going to happen, boys and girls, across the board. Myself, Eric, everyone at MHH in the round table predicting a Broncos victory. Now, each staffer kind of had their own twist on how it all shakes out and the different kind of complexion of how it might shake out. But Broncos are winning this game, guys. Shannon Mills jumping in. Thank you for that very generous super, my friend. She says, the hate on Bo has been palpable. I hope he goes off today. Go Bo. Yeah, you see like social media, the ranking the 8 quarterbacks in the divisional round. I did not see one social media post or national article, for that matter, that did not have Bo Nix ranked as the worst quarterback in the of the 8, or in other words, the 8th quarterback in the divisional round. And I'm going, all right, even trying to put on like the skeptic hat as best I can. You're going to say CJ Stroud over Bo Nix. I get it. A lot of these quarterbacks, this is the cream, a lot of them, the cream of the crop, but CJ Stroud over Bo Nix. Why? Have you seen that Texans offense? Like, that's one of the reasons, Eric, why I don't really fear the Texans as much as I would say, like the Patriots. Patriots earned a lot more respect from me last week against the Chargers. Like, I trust their status a little bit more as a 2 seed after seeing how they basically just beat the living snot out of the Chargers. It wasn't a huge scoring game, but they handled them. And to say that CJ Stroud is better than Bo Nix, relatively speaking, that's shade. That's hate. Bo Nix, go out and prove it. Go out and show them. And honestly, not just Bo Nix, Eric. The Broncos as a team have earned a lot of shade and skepticism. I mean, we've been hearing it now for 2 weeks that they're the most fraudulent 1 seed under the sun, etc. All right, how much of that has Sean Payton been using internally? We know Sean Payton, Eric, as much as he tries to pretend as if he doesn't. He spends some time on X. He gets on Twitter. He reads the headlines. He sees what people are saying. Now, I don't know if that's a ego thing, a genuine interest thing, or strategic, because he wants to see what people are saying so he can find his little things he can put up on the bulletin board, motivate his guys. But either way, Eric, your thoughts for Shannon on the hate on Bo and going off today, sending a message.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that I'm probably, one of the more skeptical people about Bo Nix on Mile High Huddle. Nik is probably the only one who's more skeptical than it. Yeah, more than I am, worse than I am about it. But even then, looking at this, I wouldn't have Bo Nix 8th. I would have him probably 5th or 6th, and it just depends. CJ Stroud, man, he can be rough. I mean, he has some really beautiful high moments, but the lows are disgustingly bad. And so that lack of consistency is just there. And then Caleb Williams, outside of fourth quarter stuff, man, he is rough to watch. Like he's another one. He has those big splashy plays, and a lot of those big splashy plays are him throwing it up with a prayer and hoping his receiver makes a play. And fortunately for him, they do. And then you also can have the conversation about Sam Darnold. I mean, he's had a great year last year and this year, but man, it's hard to forget how those first few years of his went. So 5th or 6th for him and Nix. All right. So it's a lot. And Bo Nix, he's really made strides in a lot of areas. And this is a game that's really set up well for him in some ways and poorly for him for another. One of those big things that he really does struggle with is cover 2, those split fields. And that's what the Bills do. They love to leave the intermediate area available, and that's where Nick struggles to hit. So hopefully he can do that, or hopefully the Broncos can get the run game going, force the Bills to change their coverage to cover 1, cover 3, and where Bo Nix does well. And those are actually the 2 best coverages he goes against in terms of passing EPA and success rate. And then use his legs. I mean, we've all seen it. There's been times where he's had that lane open right for him to run and he throws it. This is one where you want to throw it. The Bills have the worst rushing defense in the NFL when it comes to scrambling quarterbacks. They allow 9.4 yards on average to scrambling quarterbacks, which is 2 yards more than the team at 31st. So that is something that really for Bo Nix, I think this is a good game for him to shed some of the issues that he has and really step up and prove some of those questions and doubters wrong. Those even guys like Nick Wright, who thinks he's absolutely terrible, and show up well. I think there's a lot set up for him to be successful in this one, especially if the Broncos can get that run game going and force the Bills to change their coverage.
Talk about middle of the field, intermediate. Hey, we think about how much that Bills loss informed the Broncos offseason approach. Hey, Evan Ingram, been a disappointment for the most part relative to what we expected. And I think, honestly, maybe what the Broncos expected from Evan Ingram. But he could start making some of that right by having him a game against this kind of coverage that the Bills are going to offer. I mean, Pat Bryant using his body, Cortland Sutton using his body. Bo's just got to trust his guys and trust what he sees. If that split field coverage ends up being basically the soup of the day for the Bills, Bo's just got to trust his guys. But Shannon, thank you so much. We're about out of here. I'm going to grab a couple more here from the members. Puffy Twerp in the house. Did you see how they had Josh Allen listed as never being sacked before in the playoffs? Let's get him. Could that be true? I've never seen that stat.
He got sacked like 2 or 3 times, I believe, in the Jaguars game last week.
Yeah, let's take a look real quick. I mean, just to make sure we're not like tripping here. Bills. Okay, hold on. I got to go 2025 postseason. Okay, yep, stats. Bills, Jags. Yeah, he was sacked once by the Jaguars last week. Now, was that the first ever? I don't know, but that's not a stat I'd seen before. Interesting. Jaybird, I believe this time around, Bills are going to find out that we are different than last year's game in the wild card. They have to come to Mile High. That home field advantage cannot be overstated. Sean Payton's really been just telling the fans, we need your noise in the stadium, and not just your noise, specific timing of the noise. He wants it to be the loudest when the Bills enter the huddle offensively. So keep that in mind if you're going to be at the game today, guys. Justin Adams, another dear member, saying, hey, guys, just wanted to say, go Broncos. By the way, that's a nice buck you've got in your profile pic. Let the chips fall where they may, but I feel like the AFC title game is on the way. Yeah, buddy. Say it. Scream it. I love it. Michaela jumping in again. Love it. She says, Deanna, the Lady D, just called me. I feel better. Thank you, D. You are a great friend. That's awesome. That is friendship. And two of the most special folks I know and feel blessed to have met through this community. And Michaela, Lady D, the first two names on the 2025 Mount Rushmore talking to each other. I love that. How cool is that? How cool is that? So, Michaela, thank you for the super chat. And I'm glad you're feeling better, by the way. You should. Broncos are at home, baby. Let's go. Get out there. Show them who's the boss, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going for this one, and it's funny because it's almost both games are matchups where the Broncos have the advantage in a lot of ways, offensively, defensively, and so it's a game where they have no excuses for it. In this one, they have the health on their side, they have the schedule on it where the Bills just played last Sunday, and the Broncos, they earned the bye week, but 13 days since their last game, everything is going in their favor. There's a lot to feel great about this, but again, Josh Allen just creates that unease. Glad you feel better, Michaela, about this one. I have a lot of confidence in the Broncos being able to win this one, and it's still nerves, but Denver should be walking away. We should be talking about the Broncos facing off against either the Houston Texans or New England Patriots this time next week.
So as you can see from the ticker below, guys, Mr. Producer dug up the numbers. Josh Allen has been sacked 29 times in the playoffs. So I don't know where you saw that stat, bro, but it's probably one of those puffy twerp. It's probably one of those fake memes that floats around on Facebook, especially, is really bad for it. Like, oh man, Facebook has just become, for the most part, a cesspool and no-go zone for legit media and publishers. So beware of some of the things you see on Facebook if it's not from a trusted source. That's all I'm going to say. Pearl saying, I'm wearing my Bo Nix shirt. Yes, good. Jetty Splash, good to see you. Michaela says, Yep. I got you the right one. Check that same DM we had. Twitter changed to a new DM form, and it makes it a little bit harder if you don't live on X to see the DM correspondence for what it's worth. But the link now, so I had to learn this because I'm new to Discord. I've been doing Discord exactly as long as our Discord channel has existed, which is coming up on, 3 weeks or so, a month maybe almost. And that is that the invite link, they don't disappear, but they become invalid after a week. I didn't know that. And so then I learned, you can actually set your invite link to be permanent, which is what it is now. So when you see a link, when I say link in description, and you'll see it also, Michaela, in the DM I replied to on X to you, that is the permanent link to be invited to the MHH Discord, FYI. Ryan, good to see you, bud. Go do your thing with the company. It's a big day. I'm sure a lot of you are watching this game with family if you're at home, etc. So, Eric, maybe it's time for us to wind it off. I picked the Broncos to win the way I saw this coming down to the wire a little bit. Will Lutz, field goal, wins it. I feel no different at this stage, Eric. How are you feeling?
I'm still feeling confident. I think it went 24-16. The 8-point difference there, keeping it a one-score game. And so I'm still confident in that. I think that the Broncos, they have a lot is going their way with what the Bills do defensively and where they struggle against the run. That's where the Broncos excel at with running the ball, man blocking, outside zone, the two best in DVOA that the Broncos do, the two worst for the Buffalo Bills. And both of those are among the worst in the NFL. Nick's ability to use his legs, being able to force the change from cover two, the cover two shells that the Bills run to cover one, cover three benefits Nick's in the passing game. And then defensively, I think that Denver, with the improvements that they made against the run with Hufanga, he's going to be a difference maker there. They'll be able to shut down James Cook. They'll be able to, eliminate the tight ends, so to speak. I think they'll still get theirs and still move the ball and have some success. Obviously, you don't score 16 points without some success, but I think they'll be able to do a good job of keeping them out of the end zone, and something that the Broncos had issues with against the Jaguars. And so I'm still really confident in this one. And Carl Schaefer's, he's one of the more balanced refs, even though he throws a lot of flags. It's pretty balanced between the home and the away team.
And Blacks wore my Broncos stuff to the gym. Saw another guy lifting weights in a Bo Nix throwback jersey. Us buff dudes know what's up. Love it, dude. Thanks, MBlex, pal, for the super chat. We'll be seeing you. MBlex is one of the many names you'll see on the open thread on when the game kicks on Discord, guys. So also I want to shout out Patrick. Aloha. Right back at you, big dog. Good to see you. And then I want to get this from Mr. Producer. Broncos beat the decimated Bills. Easy money. If Sean Payton isn't the devil, he's on a first name basis and the devil is dealing. I love that. I love it. And good, Michaela. You got into the Discord. Excellent. Excellent. And Pearl, Michaela Parker. Love you guys. Duchess. We'll be seeing you. Zach and I will be seeing you at the half. And then, of course, the gut reaction. Between now and then, you want to keep the conversation going. Join Eric, join myself. We'll be in the MHH Discord. And you just check for the game day thread. That's where we'll be chilling. Much love and respect, guys. Don't forget, if you're watching and you're not subscribed on YouTube, we're trying to get to 40,000 subs. We just crossed over 38,000, so be sure to subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Eric, thanks for jumping on short notice with me, big dog. Connect with Eric on X, at Eric Trickle, myself, at Chad N. Jensen, and go Broncos.